Change Minds, Micah Frankel at the JacksonWink Academy alongside the future Chris Breezy Brown. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back on.
Man, I had an LFA 148 fighting for the welterweight title, taking on Alfonso Leyva, somebody that, man, you know him. You saw him. He was so green, he was a hornet back when you knew him. What do you think about, first off, this opportunity, finally fighting for the LFA title? You've been with the promotion for a minute.
I'm just glad it's finally here. It's a long time overdue, but it's here now, and I'm going to make the best of my opportunity and show the world why Breezy is Breezy. And as far as Alfonso, it's cool to see he's developed a lot since we first trained together. I think maybe like 5 years ago. He stayed here for 6 months, and we trained super green. So it's good to see he's developed a little bit. Can't say it's like too much of a difference. He's just, I guess, cleaned up his boxing a lot. But it's good to see him evolving, but he's going to see that there's levels to this. It's just like last fight. They were hyping up a 6-0 guy who had never fought anybody real, and he's the same way. He was out there beating up bums in Mexico for his, first 4 or 5 fights. So I'm going to show him, just like I showed my last guy, that there's levels to this.
Haris Talundzic, Alfonso Leyva, do you feel there's some parallels between their games, where they're at in their career?
I do put them like on a similar level. Their striking, Talundzic, his fights was a little bit more, he has a little bit more variety. Alfonso's, he's very basic. He likes his 1-2. Pretty much 1-2. He'll throw a kick every now and then. He'll throw some hooks, but mainly it's just his 1-2. Talundzic, he wanted to wrestle with me, and I stalled that out. So it'll be the same thing with him. And I remember wrestling with Alfonso, and I had no issues wrestling with him back then. But he was a heavyweight back then too. So I don't see myself having too many issues with the grappling as well.
Are you surprised to see Alfonso? You mentioned he was a heavyweight here down at 170, or I think we'd even talked back then years ago when this guy says he's a heavyweight. I think he's going to see he has to come down in weight.
Yeah, we knew he wasn't a real heavyweight way back then, but I never expected him to go down to 170, but not like it's an issue. It just, even when I signed to take the fight, I got the fight. They didn't have the opponent yet. I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm signing. I was the first one to sign. But I had told my manager that they were going to try to have me fight Alfonso because I think he fought like in August or something, and they were hyping him up. So I was like, hey, they're going to probably try to make me fight this guy. And he's like, oh, yeah, we'll see. And then turns out, yeah, it was like as soon as I signed the contract, the next day they sent it to him. So I think they were like trying to like, oh, maybe he won't take the fight if that's guy, but it's Breezy. I don't give a fuck. But so I took the fight, and I'm in here getting ready, and Misha comes in here. He was like, Breezy, you remember Alfonso? I was like, what? He's like, remember he used to be a heavyweight. He didn't speak any English. The guy the wrestler from the Olympic wrestler from Mexico. I was like, oh shit. And then I thought about it, and I pictured his face. I was like, oh, he's just skinnier now. Like his cheeks were fatter. He was fatter back then. So I didn't even recognize him. I was like, oh, okay. So I did feel comfortable. There's that sense of familiarity there, but he has developed a little bit, but let's be real, his striking's nowhere near like mine or like any of the other people that I've fought.
Talking about you, your development, your improvements, what did you gain and what did the win over Haris signify to you? I mean, you beat him pillar to post, and you did it in elevation. So we talked coming into that fight that the narrative was against you, that he was the younger fighter. So you turned around the narrative, and you also turned around the narrative about gassing out, about the weight cuts. You did a lot of good work. What was the feeling in your mind walking away from that performance?
I had a great feeling. Like you said, I answered a lot of questions because even before the guys were talking to me, Ron Crook and Michael Chesia, we were talking, and they were like, "Yeah, everyone's worried about the gas tank, the cardio, the weight cuts, all these other things." And I told them like, this camp was different. I felt good. I felt it. Went in, made weight, and went in there and fought all 3 rounds from bell to bell, and showed that I have the stamina and I do have the ability to go all the rounds. And there were questions like, "Oh, kind of look like you're breathing hard." I was like, I just take deep breaths and it just helps me stay calm. So I want to address that too, because like, "Oh, he's looking tired." It's like, obviously I wasn't tired. I went strong the whole fight, but sometimes yes, I take deep breaths because it helps me slow down my heart rate.
Talk us through what people say is chaos. How controlled is that chaos? The tornado of kicks and fists that are flying at people.
Honestly, like I told you before, a long time ago, I'm actually kind of conservative. As much as people get a trip out of that, but I actually am very conservative. Like, I don't throw as much wild shit. I'm not as reckless as I am in practice. I'm a little more calculated. I try to break people down because I learned in my old fights I used to rush a lot. So I wanted to slow my fights down and not be in such a panic or like, "Oh, I got to do this first round," or like letting expectations get into my head. So I just go out there and work my game, get them confused, and keep going from there. Just like Talundzic, he was frozen. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where the punches were. He didn't know where the kicks were coming from. And I expect the same thing to happen to Alfonso.
You've had LFA headliners, main events, plural. You've been in the PFL. Most of us saw you win a fight against the former LFA champion. You have a definite experience advantage in the cage. How big is that advantage heading into this fight?
I think it's huge because, like I said, he's been fighting bums in Mexico. I think he only fought one person with a winning record in Mexico. He was 2-1, and his first fight in LFA was a guy against. He was 8-1, but that guy was pretty weak. That looked like a padded 8-1 to me.
How much does it excite you, the backdrop of Los Angeles, Hollywood, California, the first time Breezy hits the big stage on the West Coast?
Man, it's just amazing. I've been working so hard, been going all around the country fighting killers everywhere for whoever will fight. And me, I'll fight anybody, anytime. And in the beginning, it was so hard to even get these fights. So many people just backing out. Like, you could look at the share dog and see some of the fights that were canceled. That's not even all that I've gone through. All the times that I've had to fly to different cities and people back out, don't show up to weigh-ins, don't show up with blood work, whatever the excuse is. So all the hard work and obstacles that I've had to overcome to finally be here. What is this, like my 4th or 5th main event in a row? It's just a blessing, and I stayed the course, and I worked hard, and it's finally paying off.
One more note on Alfonso I wanted to ask you about. You fought powerful strikers before, you fought wrestlers before. His Greco-Roman background, does that make a difference? Because Haris Talundzic was diving at the legs. These are going to be body attacks. Does that make a difference in how difficult you think it's going to be, and your approach to defending those takedowns?
It's just going to be hard for him because he has to close the distance to get a body lock, because he's a Greco-Roman wrestler, so he's not out here going to be shooting shots or diving for my legs. I highly doubt he'll be doing that. And if he does, he's not good at that, so I'm not worried about that. It's something he's been working on for a little while. Is it going to get me down? So, just defending, just keeping him at bay, him having to come and close that distance to try to get body locks is going to leave him open to a lot of shots.
Yeah, does that open up your striking game? The fact that it's kind of going to be coming at you more vertically. Again, you don't have to worry about those legs attacking. You're almost a little more free to throw leg kicks than you were low leg kicks again than you were against Haris.
Yeah, he doesn't even check leg kicks, so I'm not even. So I'm not really worried about that. We grappled when he was here. A long time ago, and I had no issues then, so I don't think I'll have issues now. I believe overall I am the better wrestler. He might have good Greco takedowns, but ground game and everything else, I definitely have the advantage. Just going to keep him away. If he's going to try to catch some body locks, he's going to take a lot of shots.
I know the win comes first, but have you thought about what the belt will matter, what completing this journey in the LFA would mean to you?
Yeah, just solidifying who I am and what I've done and all the work that I've put in. Like I said, we've been at this for a while, and all the missteps and missed opportunities, feeling that I should have had this opportunity. But like I said, I'm just blessed to be in this position. Everything that I've done has led me to this, so I'm on the right track.
Chris Brown, as always, thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me.